Hey guys, I wanted to do a quick little demo on how I set up my aquarium guitar amp tank. I like this project because it was really simple. I didn't need very many supplies, and at the end I still got a functioning amp. I got this amp at a pawn shop. I was in the market for a practice amp. I was initially thinking about getting a bass amp because it'd be a little bit thicker, or a small practice amp, a smaller one to make like a beta tank. But this one came along. The speaker squawked a little bit, so it was pretty cheap, but it was nice enough for what I was going to do with it. So the first thing I did was take all the hardware out. I took every screw out. I took these little guys off. I took everything off just so I got down to the box of it. I had a shop cut the glass for me, and I used the GE SCS 1200 silicone, the construction stuff, without mildew, but you guys can figure out how to do all that stuff online. There's plenty of good videos about that. So the first thing I did after I cut it all out was take the saw and actually cut little lines on both sides, and I've just been using these latches because they kind of fit in with the aesthetic of the amp, but also it keeps my cat from knocking the top off. So whenever I need to do anything, I can just take that off. Nothing else to it. When I got my glass cut, I knew there wasn't going to be a lot of space. The nice thing about these amps is even when there's the backing on there, there's usually a little bit of a gap. So I knew I was going to run small cables out the top, so I had them cut a little gap in the glass. Because this is over the top, this doesn't usually slide or ever fall in because there's edges on both sides. For the back, I just took the grill of the front amp off, and that's my backdrop. That just stays back there. You could screw it in if you want to. A lot of amps, most amps, are going to have some wood in the back. I just took that off altogether and just set that back in there. So that's just what's sitting back there now. I'm only running the small air filter in the back. I wish I could get something else back in there. They're not my favorite, but it was just kind of what I could do for the wire situation just because it's kind of tight. So if you save all the hardware, it's pretty easy to throw into another box. I can't officially recommend this. It hasn't caught on fire yet. That's not going to say it's not going to. But I was able to save most of the stuff. I bought the little chicken head knobs for this panel because I like the look of them. This whole thing is just the panel scraped off of that, which is really easy. It was like a sticker. And then I just glued it to a paint stick. I cut it to the right size so it would fit in there, so it actually wiggles in there a little bit when I need it to. And I went to Home Depot and just got some like cool looking switches and some little washers to put in for like the inputs. Everything is glued into place. When you look at it a little bit closer, you can see the super glue. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. So that's where the super glue comes in. I used a little bit of black paint to paint like these wood sides, and on the inside too. It had like a plywood look to it. It just wasn't the best, so I wanted to fill in those gaps. The nice thing about having this panel is that you can kind of adjust it. So really when you're looking at the tank, it looks like that, and it covers up the top, so you don't really see the edge in there, which is kind of nice. Not every tank is going to be like that if you use different amps, but it worked out well for me. And that's pretty much what we did. There's the guys. There's Willie Nelswim and Chris Christopher Fish and Wayfin Jennings. And there's Johnny Castation in there. There's a shrimp in there somewhere. And then the snail bad meatball. Oh, the logo, I just siliconed on. I actually filed down the screws in the back and siliconed them on or glued them on. So that just stays there all the time. That's one of my favorite parts about it, is that, and that the backdrop is the screen. For a lot of the hardware that I took off the top and had to put in the new tank, I just painted black because it kind of fit in. But all that little stuff you guys can figure out. I painted these little gaps black and red for the lights, and you could put an LED if you wanted it in there, but I don't know enough about electronics not to cook my fish on accident. But if you do, go for it. And that's pretty much the quick little rundown on my amp tank.